everyone, welcome back to the channel, Cobalt Mood. It is day 7 of the marathon. I am feeling the worst that I have felt this entire marathon. So I have a massive headache and I've had one since I've woken up. I have a lot of body pain. You know, I told you guys I took my anger and grief out on those weeds yesterday. Well, I don't really garden, so these weeds were mini trees because they weren't, 2 inches tall. They were like 4 feet tall all across my backyard. So I am feeling that today, plus just general body aches that I experience on my time of the month. The main fault in my plan was I eliminated my day of let's clean the house, let's do the laundry, let's reset for the week. That day usually falls on Sundays. And I just powered through it yesterday, miraculously, once I was able to get out of the house. Next week, I was planning on listing for that week, but also for the week that my parents are here. So it's actually going to be double the work, but in a different way than it was this week. So this week was the marathon of sourcing. Next week is likely going to be a marathon of listing. And also just the literal ripping off of the Band-Aid of suddenly going from a steady 8 a day to double at 16. So that means 16 sets of photos, 16 sets of listings. Like, I'm adding 2 hours at least to my already booked schedule in lieu of not having to source. I think it will be informative because where I see my business growing to in the future is probably around 15 to 16 listings to make the money I want to make from this business. Let's quickly talk about yesterday. I'm going to show you one really interesting pickup, and then I'm going to dive into what sold over the weekend, plus a few on Friday, and we'll end it with an analysis of my current ASP and average days to sell. You guys who watched yesterday's video, you could see how freaking chaotic I was. So I started in the middle of what ended up being the route, and so my route originally was just going to go like this back to my house, and instead it was like this weird Z. So it was very chaotic, and I decided to hit some of the outskirts stores, which I didn't hit earlier on in this marathon. So they were actually completely new product for me, which was great. Of the 6 stores I ended up hitting, honestly surprised I hit that many, but I guess I was moving somewhat fast. I just started dissociating and working. I kind of left my body. I was like, what is pain? Pain is no more. I had not had any coffee. I had not had any energy drink. I was complete zombie status, but in a way dissociated zombie so that I could just power through. It was muscle memory at that point. I was able to get 20 items. So I just want to show one item that I picked up yesterday. Okay, so this item is from a Netflix show called Chupa, and it is this weird little creature with wings. And here's the tag. So yeah, Netflix Chupa. On the other side, the black and red Netflix logo. My immediate thought was, what is this Wolverine gremlin creature? Like, so weird looking. What is this? Okay, so what to know immediately off the bat before even looking up the item. I think this might be the first Netflix tag I've seen, but this is kind of fits into the genre of like sleeper brands. So you know how I was telling you that YouTube content creators will make plush for their audience? Well, occasionally Netflix shows or any other major streaming channels do the same. And these sort of creatures are usually like limited runs, and they sell out very quickly because, as you can imagine, it goes to a worldwide audience. So the following of the show might be pretty extensive, but the items they're selling are in a smaller quantity. So I actually found this guy listed on Walmart for $18, but he's sold out. And then I looked on like some forums, like Reddit, for example, and there were people on there posting photos of this guy being like, does anybody have this? I can't find it. It's sold out anywhere. And so immediately I'm like, ding, 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 this is going to be worth some money. So looked them up. There is actually a few listed on eBay right now. There's maybe 5 listed total between new and used. So of the used, they average between $75 to $90 used. And there's one that's listed as new, and it has the paper hang tag for Netflix, and that one's listed at $125. So this, great pickup. And let's see, I think the tag's still on here. How much I paid for it? Paid $7. But you know, I work off averages. So I got a total of 20 items. I spent $88.35. So my cost of goods on average is $4.42. So yeah, it's looking like this guy, I'm going to get between 75 to 90 easily for him. Great, weird little guy. I've never seen Chupa, the show, but apparently it was some sort of fantasy show. And yeah, weird sells. Remember I told you guys this a long time ago. Be on the lookout. It's possible to find them in the thrift. Now let's move over to what sold. And I'll give you guys some insight into the items. Okay, so Monkey, it has the W, which means it's a Webkinz. It has the hang tags, and it's a Gans product. Webkinz creates these little characters. You can sell them without the hang tag, but the hang tag definitely adds value to them because the brand offers these like product codes that are single use for their plush animals. So this one has a product code, and from what I could tell, it looks new and unopened. So this makes it a little bit more valuable. And I sold this guy for a total of $25 in 18 days. Next one. Very excited to get this guy out the door because he is huge. Just kidding, he's not heavy at all. This guy is named Cuphead. Very soft. Got him out of a thrift. Probably just a few bucks. I would guess probably $2 to $3. He came out of one of my favorite hidden gems in Portland that is not a Goodwill. I know he's a cartoon character and I recognize the face, but I had no concept of who he was. So anyways, in doing the research, I found out that apparently this guy is not the licensed version of Cuphead. He actually doesn't have a tush tag. The licensed product is not furry. It's way smaller. It's definitely not as cool. But hey, didn't matter to my buyer. And this one I'm giving myself a shout out for because this buyer had no idea what they were doing. And they were getting on my last nerve. They kept sending me messages with offers and asking me things like, what's the lowest you would go? And sometimes I play that game, but this time around I was feeling more like a shark. And so I just responded with, just make me an offer. And I was willing, I think I had him at 45 to start. And I was willing to go about half on it. But instead I just kind of threw it back at the buyer's face. Like, what do you want to pay for it? And I was really surprised when they were like, I can do $32. And I was like, wow. I would have definitely just accepted that offer. So I asked them to make an offer and thank God they actually bought it. I did have my larger shipping cost on it. So the total, ironically, after shipping ended up being $44. I still won at the end of the day, you know? And they, I guess, felt like they won. So got $44 for Cuphead and he sold in 22 days. All right. Next one. So this guy took a chance on in the thrift store. He is actually a puppet. He doesn't have a tag. Couldn't find the brand. What stuck out to me was the cool coloring alligator and the really cool teeth. Puppets typically do well for me. And so I'm like, somebody will love this guy. He's pretty cool. And anyways, when I looked it up when I got home, I found out it was from this brand called Hansa, which is a really awesome brand. Look out for this, you guys. So Hansa sells a lot of realistic looking animals. They'll have legs that are bendable so you can pose them in different ways. They're just known for like really realistic looking birds, and I bought like bisons and whatever from them. So, and they go for great money. Like there's some collectors out there. I I don't know. I feel like they just buy it to put it on a shelf because they're just really cool. So anyways, Hansa's the brand. And this one ended up being a Hansa puppet. So now I know Hansa does puppets, which is helpful. And I got a total of $64 for this guy. And it took 15 days to sell. So great one. Happy accident. Next one. This one made it off of my 70% off sale. It is this very luxurious soft teddy bear by this brand called Kith. When I looked him up in the store, he was like $100 bear. But after him sitting around for many months in my store, I have learned that he probably was just listed very high because there's not many listed of him. And then that listing that I was looking off of was probably very old. So Kith is actually a really great clothing brand, which is why I know about it from the group. So yeah, the plush I was now deem average and I would not pick up again. So this one ended up selling with shipping for $35 at 70% off. Like, that's wicked. Love it. I think I spent $3 on this guy, so it's great. Okay, next one. I got this very big, he's kind of heavy, he's jointed teddy bear. I picked this guy up right after I sold that aviator Fruit Loop pelican thing. What caught my eye about this guy was, yes, he has a nice faux leather jacket. He had a cool patch on the side, and it says Bielowski friend. So I thought, oh, maybe it's a different language or something. He's a product by Gund. Here's also, he has a tush tag. Then he also has a tag over here. So like very well branded. I was on the fence because of the size. I think just the aviator, at the time, I was like, oh, let's take a chance on it. And he ended up selling in 55 days for $35. Like, it worked out, but probably I'm not going to pick him up again. I'm just really moving away from bigger sized plush like this. And I really like, I like these guys that have personality and are part of a show and have a bigger following, whereas these aviator guys are maybe older demographic. Teddy bears in general, just huge saturation. Maybe it's more of a preference thing, but yeah, I feel like if I'm going to pick up a bear in the future, it needs to be something really unique, like that mink one. All right, last one, very interesting. I found this long blue horse with this kind of yarn hair, has a ribbon. I think I've mentioned this before, but this is the old Dakin tags you want to look out for. Pink triangle, and on the back at the top it'll usually say the date. So this one's copyright 1994. And I'm always impressed when I get animals like this that are from the early 90s. I'm like, this guy's like 30 years old. He's looking great. Was he hiding somewhere? I couldn't find one like him on eBay. So what I did was I looked him up on Google to see where he popped up on the internet. And somebody had made a post about him about 2 years ago on Reddit. And they posted their blue horse, and it looked horrible. Like, it did not even look like the same plush. It was so heavily used. The yarn was like incredibly matted. In my head, I was like, what if I just made a Reddit account, messaged this person, and sold to them? Then I could just avoid eBay fees entirely and make their day. So I did do that. And since the post was pretty old, I'd never heard from them again. But I had already bought it at this point, and I thought, well, one person really, really was willing to sell their left arm for it. So I bet there's somebody else in the world. And I found one that was produced by Dakin that was, I believe, an elephant. And it was in the same kind of flat style. So I just based my listing off that one and then just added a few dollars for the coolness of it. Because I feel like when you get any animal really in a different color than its natural color, that just makes it a bit more desirable, I guess, for people. So I ended up selling the horse for a total of, with shipping, $63. and it took 31 days to sell. So yeah, somebody's childhood is going to be happy again. Okay, I took all this data from the start with the monkey to the blue horse. My average ASP is $44.33, and my average day to sell is 44 days. So overall, we're doing good. And these numbers, my ASP of $44 is very similar to what my projections are showing right now for May. So I'm at average gross price of $43.81. And last month in April, I was at $39.68. So I'm improving that. So my average net per sale of what I'm making is $25.47, and last month was $21.49. I know it's not going to change rapidly because I just changed my metrics last week, but I think the reality is, even though I lowered it to an ASP of 30, like, because my eye has gotten better and I'm still picking up the higher ones, like that, I'm looking at the red car right now that I showed yesterday. You know, that's like a $50 item. The weird gremlin guy from the show Chupa, that I bought for $4 and it sells for $75 to $90. So like the margin is still there. The ASP is still going to be high because I'm buying all these outsider higher end items among all of the lower priced ones. It's just interesting to see. Now it's just a matter of telling my coach the progress I've made tomorrow. I've now just become an average store in accepting the lower priced ones, but it's life. We must be average to make money, because while higher priced inventory is fun, I still find it fun. You know, the market in plush is showing me that the lower priced ones, closer to 30, are selling more than my $40 ones. There's more buyers, so it makes sense that my store would reflect the market. So it took a while to get here, but starting to see things make sense now that I felt the difference. And I think I'm going to keep my metric of $30 ASP 90-day sell-through. I think I'm just going to keep that. It feels more relaxing in the store, and I feel like I can get a little bit more items and still be making money off of them because I have a good sell-through. So here we go. One challenge ends, another one must begin. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.